Welcome to the final part of Ocarina of Time. Yeah, this is it. This is the end. And personally, I would go away from strange noises from spooky places, because usually if you investigate such random noises, bad things tend to happen. I mean, they don't happen all the time, but bad things tend to happen. See? Case in point. And Ganondorf lives! How did he survive the collapse of his castle? Well, there's this little thing called the Triforce of Power. And using that power, he transforms! Yes, folks, he uses the Triforce of Power to, at long last, change himself into the big blue pig monster we all know and hate, Ganon. And the very first thing Ganon does is knock the Master Sword out of Link's hands, out of the battlefield, and, yeah. But Navi here is actually going to be joining us this fight, so we will have Z targeting available. Goody. Oh no, I have no Master Sword. What am I going to do? Oh, the humanity. Well, Ganon, that wasn't a very smart thing you did. I still have the good old Bigoron sword in my possession. And, if for some reason you do not have the Bigoron sword, if you decide to not go for that little side quest for whatever reason, first I have to ask, why? Why? It's very easy to obtain. If you didn't get this amazing sword, then shame on you, or you would rather prefer a challenge. Of course, the Megaton Hammer would be a suitable substitute, so yeah. Yeah, pretty much the goal of this battle here is we have to get around Ganon and hit him in his tail, which is his weak spot. And there are a number of ways you can do this. You can shoot him in the face with a light arrow, or like I'm going to do later on in this battle, I'm actually going to go through Ganon's legs and strike him in his tail. And yeah. And notice that Ganon has a skirt on, and yeah. I'm going to assume hopefully there is some kind of underpants underneath that skirt. I mean, if Link goes underneath his legs and he's full commando. Oh, no. Nightmare fuel. Well, brain bleach. I gotta cleanse the brain. I do not want to think about it. I do not want to think about that. Ugh. Anyway, you can go between his legs if you want to save on arrows. It doesn't really matter. Anyway, and be careful of his double swords here. He will, if he strikes you with one of them, they can take a few hearts off, even with the enhanced defenses to your health. So yeah. Anyway, halfway through the fight, Ganon will be stunned. The fire barrier will dispel and allow me to reclaim the Master Sword for the final round. Now, Zelda, this would be a good time for you to help out. You know, use some of your magic powers, stun him or something so I can kill him. But no, just stand there, be a bystander. Yeah. No, Ashik, you were more productive. Thank you very much. Anyway, this is the final round. This is the final moment. And Ganon will be a lot faster. He'll be a lot more deadly. And here's the thing. Every time he strikes you with his double blades, Zelda will scream like, "Ah!" First of all, that's a nice little touch. And of course, if you touch the fire barrier, you will get damaged. So yeah. Now, if you run low on arrows, if you run low on magical energy, you can either destroy the debris in the battlefield with bombs or have Ganon destroy them. And they will release pots of magical, like green magic elixirs and or arrows. So hopefully you should not run out during this fight. So yeah. Now, did you notice that those eyes Ganondorf had before he transformed into Ganon, they're inhuman. They're completely devoid of life. And so this would imply that he's always been a complete monster. In fact, I don't even think the guy was human anymore, like from the moment he touched the Triforce of Power, because apparently the Triforce pieces enhance certain qualities, like Ganondorf's was power, and pretty much becoming more powerful requires you to take on a more monstrous appearance in order to contain the power. Or I'm pretty much BSing at this point of my theories, so yeah. Oh, there's something I forgot to comment during the Ganondorf battle in my previous video. You can use an empty bottle to reflect those energy blasts back toward him. So yeah, it's possible to use an empty bottle to swing the energy balls back and forth, and how humiliating it would be if Ganondorf got defeated just from an empty bottle and a sword. So yeah. And I also like this music right here, this final epicness, final battle, and the arena area with the whole thunder and lightning area. Gives a sense of doom and gloom and final battleness. And of course, it's probably all Ganon's doing, because he pretty much has a thing for the dramatics. He likes to be all theatrical and all that. It's all hammy and all that. Yeah, especially right now, he is hammy. Alright. Yeah, I noticed that this pig form of Ganon is a bit different from his 2D versions. I mean, it's more detailed, it's more monstrous in appearance. The 2D versions of Ganon are blue and piggish, but they're just big and fat. Yeah, big and fat. And I don't think they had a tail, so yeah. Anyway, at this point, Zelda will finally lend a hand by pretty much holding Ganon in place so that we can deliver the final blow. And here's the thing, folks. We have to use the Master Sword to deliver the final blow, because the game script requires it. See? And of course, no matter how you strike Ganon, it will always cut to the same scene. See, I do this jump attack, but it does not do it. It just has me slash, 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 and that's kind of lame. I mean, it would have been cool to have a scene where I would complete the jump attack and finish this whole thing. So yeah, we have to finish the game using the Master Sword, because it is the bane of evil's blade. It is the sacred blade that no evil can touch. I mean, it would have been cool if we would finish Ganondorf with Bigoron's sword, but what are you gonna do? The game requires you to finish it with the Master Sword. And you still have no hands, Rauru. And here are all the sages, and they're going to summon all their mystical powers to create a vortex of doom to suck Ganon in. And of course, in this little cutscene here, Ganon will go back to his Ganondorf form for some reason. He will not remain the pig monster. And I like this little bit of dialogue. He's like, you know, the words are all cast, pretty much representing yelling. He's like, "Curse you, Zelda! Curse you, sages!" And then when he goes, "Curse you, Link!" I find it kind of amusing, because that's how I named my character. I named him with a capital L and rest in lowercase. And yeah, of course, for that dialogue to make even more sense, you have to capitalize every single letter in Link's name. But yeah, I mean, you pretty much have to deal with how you name your character and stuff, so yeah. Anyway, Ganondorf's like gloating, "I'll be back! I still have the Triforce of Power! I will come and kill your descendants!" Ha ha ha! So yeah, Ganondorf's not really dead. He's defeated. He is sealed, but yeah, like he said, he can bust out. He can cause some mayhem in the future. Wind Waker! What was that? Sorry, just clearing my throat. And now we find ourselves in the sky. How did we get up in the sky? Is this even the sky? Yeah. See, even Zelda recognizes that peace will return for a time. So even she senses that Ganondorf will bust out and wreak mayhem. Wind Waker. Sorry, I'm pretty much my throat's off today. I don't know why. Yeah. So pretty much Zelda regrets having Link getting involved into all this mess, and she is going to make things up. She is going to pretty much send Link back into the past, and once he is in the past, he will seal the door of time, and the Master Sword will remain in its pedestal for good. And in order to send Link back into the past, Zelda will use her Sage powers and the Ocarina to send him back. First, I'd like to comment on, even though this game has Nintendo 64 graphics, I just love their facial expressions. I mean, it's advanced for its time, and it's still pretty impressive by today's standards. And the 3DS version of this game made it even more impressive. So yeah, Zelda's going to send him back using the Ocarina of Time and her Sage powers. And what is she the Sage of? Time? Universe? What is she a Sage of? That's one thing that's bothered me ever since I played this game. Alright, anyway, she uses her powers to send Link back into the past, and he will disappear from this Hyrule for good. And what do I mean by that? Well, I will tell you in just a bit. And after this scene, the main credits will roll. So yeah, that was Ocarina of Time, folks. My favorite Zelda game of all time, deservedly so. It has pretty much won many awards. Gaming magazines and gaming sites gave this game a perfect score, like perfect to near perfect scores, all of them pretty much, and deservedly so again. And even the it's been on lists of pretty much gaming sites, gaming magazines lists of the top games of all time, even beating newer games. I mean, it might have gone down a bit over the years, but hey, this game has been pretty popular. It's pretty much the Titanic, the Avatar of gamedom. Well, at least for a while, at least. And yeah, like I said, this game is pretty epic. It has an epic story. It has epic characters. And yeah, you know, I know Zelda fans are going to say, oh, but the structure of the game is so similar to A Link to the Past. And for those of you who do not know what I'm talking about, A Link to the Past had a similar setup. It had go collect 3 items from 3 temples. You get sent to another world. You have to collect and save the sages to stop Ganon once and for all. And I say, so what? At least this game had a more 3D epic feel to it. I mean, even the credits have this epic feel to them. I mean, it's like, if you were watching this, if this were a movie, you would still sit in your movie theater or keep the DVD on and watch the credits because they're so beautiful. It reveals all the nice locations that Link has gone to. And the music, yes, I have to comment again on the music. I love the music. Like Koji Kondo, the composer of this music, and I mean, I have to applaud him from creating such memorable musical cues and stuff. Zelda's Lullaby, Ganondorf's theme, and all that. And yeah. And of course, there's the voice acting, and I will explain who voiced who in the game. So, yeah. And there was motion capturing, so people actually were performing stunts so that they can translate it to the game. So that's awesome. Now, of course, what we are about to hear is a serious song yet again. However, I will give it an excuse this time because what we are about to see here is a party. As you can see, everybody from everywhere has gathered to Lon Lon Ranch and celebrate the being free of Ganondorf's evil reign. See, the Zora are free from the eyes. Talon and Ingo are wasted. And the Kokiri are here too. Now, here's the thing here. The Kokiri weren't allowed to leave the forest or they would die. And yeah. So either the Deku Tree... Oh, by the way, the long-haired guy, that's the Haunted Wasteland Merchant on the carpet. Yeah. Anyway, the Kokiri pretty much are here, and, well... And again, I have to digress for a bit, because the Carpenters are now Malon's backup singers, so yeah. Anyway, yeah, either the Deku Tree was lying that the Kokiri will die if they leave the forest, or the Deku Sprout allowed them to go out into the forest just for this night, but it's a special occasion. Ganondorf is dead. I mean, everybody's here. I mean, even the Gerudo are doing the can-can. And as we can see here, not everybody is happy here. King Zora and Mido are sad because their loved ones are gone. Now we see some green and blue light hovering above them. Yeah, I guess who they are, guess who, so yeah. Anyway, folks, here's a little fun fact. The, sages, with the exception of Impa and Zelda, are named after towns in the Adventures of Link, and Mido as well. So, that's a little fun, little interesting fact, call back or call forward, if you want to put the timeline in perspective, and I will explain the timeline later on. So, does this imply that the sages are now free of their sage duties and are allowed to go back to their normal mortal lives? Or are they just standing on Death Mountain to pretty much, well, compliment on a job well done? And now we are back in the past, yes. Link is now back to being a childhood. He is back to his youth. He is going to reclaim his lost youth. And the Master Sword will remain in its pedestal until it's needed again sometime in the future. And so, with evil defeated, the task completed, everything all said and good, Navi flies away. Goodbye! I'm going to miss your haze and listens and watch out! And then Link, having gone through a incredible ordeal, pretty much marches off, leaving the Master Sword in its place. It's going to seal the door of time to make sure that none of this will happen ever again. And of course, there are church bells ringing to give it its epic scope. So yeah, it's a fantastic ending. Epilogue. Young Zelda? Okay, how is there a young Zelda here? And yeah, so apparently adult Zelda sent Link further back into his childhood, and notice Link's left hand right there. Yeah, to a time just before he met Princess Zelda for the first time, judging by young Zelda's reaction. So, yeah, she wanted him to experience his childhood, to start everything all over again, and, well, there's a reason for that, and this whole thing is significant. You want to know why? Because, at this point, Link will tell Zelda, and they'll warn the king of everything that will happen, and, of course, Ganondorf will be stopped, preventing the events from happening. Now, does this mean that everything in the future, everything that has happened, all the partying people, is that all rendered moot? Well, no. Turns out that when adult Zelda sent Link back into the past, she created a split timeline, knowingly or unknowingly. And the moment Link went back into his childhood, it became known as the Child Timeline. And in that timeline, the games Majora's Mask, which also featured this Link from Ocarina of Time, the hero of time, Twilight Princess, and Four Swords Adventure. The timeline Link left, the adult timeline, the games that follow Ocarina there, Wind Waker, Phantom Hourglass, and Spirit Tracks. Now, according to a recently released book, the Hyrule Historia, there is in fact a third timeline. Now, it also happened during Ocarina of Time. It turns out that during the final battle between Link and Ganon, Link dies. Yeah, Link failed. And it would lead into the events of the Imprisoned War. And that is the backstory of A Link to the Past. Yeah, so this Fallen timeline, the games that follow this timeline, A Link to the Past, the original Legend of Zelda, the very first game, and its sequel, The Adventures of Link. And like I said before, the towns in The Adventures of Link were named after sages. So yeah, it's a bit of a retcon here, but yeah, so the town of Saria would be named after the sage Saria and so forth, based on what we know now. I mean, back then, we didn't. So, yeah. Again, I love this game. My favorite Zelda game of all time. I especially love the time travel aspect. I mean, time travel is one of my favorite science fiction fantasy concepts. So, and this is my first Zelda game that I have ever played ever. I did not play the first Zelda game on the NES. I did not play A Link to the Past. No, my Zelda experience started with this game. So, yeah. In fact, everybody, drop what you're doing and play this game. Even you first-timers. I mean, it's available everywhere. Everywhere. I mean, you can download it on your virtual console for your Wii. You can dig out your old Nintendo 64 copy and your Nintendo 64. You could get the promotional disc. Yeah, this game came out as a promotional disc along with Wind Waker when it came out for the GameCube. And there is the 3DS version for your 3DS if you want to take it on the go. Alright, so the voice of young Link is Fujiko Takamoto, and the voice of adult Link is Nobuyuki Hayama. Sorry if I'm butchering the Japanese pronunciations of these names, so yeah. The voice of Princess Zelda is Jun Mizusawa, and she also did the voice of Sheik. She probably pretty much lowered her voice to make it sound all boyish or mannish. And the voice of Ganondorf is Takashi Nagasako. So yeah, and basically by voice acting I mean grunts, groans, and hi-yahs and all that stuff. So yeah. Okay, everybody, I'm going to leave you to this musical piece from the second ending of Ocarina of Time, the 3DS version. Basically what happens after the usual ending, you know, after Link meets Zelda for the first time again kind of ending, there is a second credits sequence that plays, featuring the remake team, like pretty much getting the credit on like the whole remake and all that for the 3DS. And pretty much playing in the background is an orchestrated piece featuring music from the overworld theme of Ocarina of Time mixed in with the main theme. So I'll be playing the overworld of Ocarina first, then the main theme. So yeah. Well, folks, hope you enjoy this game. One of my favorites of all time. And I'll see you next time. Bye.